hello fellow paranormalers, welcome to this vlog and to our channel. Today is the 4th of August 2015, and the reason why I'm saying the date is because very recently Cilla Black, who is a very, very well-known UK entertainer, singer, presenter, show host, sort of celebrity, much well loved, has passed away. And it in a way, it's no real surprise, because she has actually talked about not wanting to live very long. Now, she was 72. And apparently she claimed, and I didn't know this, apparently she claimed she didn't want to live any older than 75. But what I did know was that she didn't want to be old, as in she didn't want to live, very old. And she kept talking about, about getting old and about the problems of being old. Apparently her mother suffered quite badly, or she suffered for 2 years before her passing, and I think that probably set the precedent for not wanting to be ill for any length of time. Also, her husband passed away, I believe, quite a long time ago now, a few years, and I know her and her husband were very, very close. The reason for this discussion is because it's an interesting thing that I've observed for many, many years, ever since I was quite young, that I'm sorry, backtracking, the reason I'm sort of doing this video is because I read actually about the way that she died. Apparently she died from a stroke, and people who are quite close to her knew that she didn't want to live, because she felt that her husband, who had passed already, was waiting for her wherever that may be. And I get the impression that she obviously felt she wanted to be with him more than where she was. So she died of a stroke, and it is believed that she brought it on, that she willed herself to die. Now, close friends, etc., have said that, they kind of knew that was, when they heard that she'd passed away, that it wasn't a surprise to them, because they knew that she didn't really want to live to a ripe old age and be ill. So, the discussion, and I welcome your feedback, and I have actually heard this from other people as well, so it's nothing new, but I just thought it was quite interesting because it's quite pertinent to what's happened just now with Cilla Black, recently. I've always believed, even before hearing about it from other people, that people can will themselves to die, to pass on. I've known this about old people. I've known this about people who have been, especially couples. When you hear, a couple who have been married for 40 years or 50 years or something, and then one of them pass away, and then, a couple of weeks later or a month later, the other one passes away. And I believe, and there's this term about being heartbroken, and things like that. So I've always believed that is possible. We know that Tibetan monks can induce a meditative state when they get to an old age, whereby, they prepare themselves for death, for passing on, for wherever it is they go. I just thought it was actually really, really quite interesting. And I do sometimes wonder, it must take quite a strong frame of mind to make up in your own head that you want to die, you know. And I do, and this is another thought, I sometimes wonder whether it's the same thought process that goes through somebody's mind when they commit suicide. Now, I know I'm probably opening up a whole can of worms here, but from a psychological point of view, I've got no experience at all with suicidal tendencies or people who have, you know, contemplated suicide or anything. So I'm kind of talking from an outsider or a layman's point of view on this particular subject. But I do wonder, it must take a frame of mind from a psychological point of view that is so strong. On the one hand, where you can will yourself to die, and on the other hand, that you want to actually kill yourself, as in suicide. You know? That kind of thing fascinates me because, you know, from a psychological point of view, the willpower or the frame of mind required to do something like that, to actually take your own life, you know, what is going through someone's thought processes at that particular point in time to actually just do that. Now, willing yourself to die because a partner has died, or you've got terminal cancer and you don't want to suffer, you know, or you're ill, you know, you're seriously ill, and there doesn't seem to be any light at the end of the tunnel, as it were. You know, in a way, I can understand that willingness to die process, you know, but the suicide, I think, takes a different form of thought process in a way, although the end result is the same. But I think the thought process on things like suicide are quite different. And on the back end of that, I think it's interesting that, you know, of course we don't know who we're talking to, and I will agree with all the other paranormalists that say, you know, we cannot categorically say who we're communicating with. You know, we just don't know. But let's just say that they're spirits. I believe that they are passed on spirits, or entities, or angels, or demons, or whatever it is you want to call them. You know, they're energies, as far as I'm concerned, that are able to communicate with us somehow. Very clever, you know, all the rest of it. But of course, someone's frame of mind at the time of death, I believe, can be carried over into, let's call it the afterlife, or the spirit world, or, you know, whatever it is, the state that we're in after we've physically died. And of course, you know, I think sometimes people die because they're angry, people die because they're frustrated, people die because, you know, out of shock, you know, people die through murder, people die, you know, through anger, people die through desperation. You know, there's a lot of reason I think that people can die, and so we have to remember that we're dealing with that kind of thing. You know, we're dealing with that type of person, or that spirit, especially if we've known them. You know, like people like Cilla Black, like Robin Williams. You know, we knew them. We knew them as much as we knew them as celebrities. Let's put it that way. We didn't know them as absolutely close friends and whatever, unless we did. But you know, other than that, we can only kind of speculate a little bit about what we know about them. But of course, you know, spirits who we think are demons or negative or whatever, you know, could be coming from the the other side of the spectrum, if you like, you know, of their death being something to do with frustration or possibly their anger, you know, the negative side of the human spirit, of the human personality. Anyway, I'm probably waffling on a little bit here, but I think it's just very, very interesting, you know, a discussion. And do please leave some comments below if you'd like to feedback anything about this video or about your own experiences. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you again in another video.